Okay, so we're here with Greg Horowitt, Kaufman Fellow, venture capitalist, expert consultant for private and even public international organizations, and co-author, together with Victor Wang, of the insightful bestseller, Rainforest, The Secret to Building the Next Silicon Valley. First of all, do you really think that the next Silicon Valley could be possible?
Not only possible, but it's happening. I mean, when we talk about the next Silicon Valley, we're talking less about whether a place that's going to look exactly like the Silicon Valley. It's more, will there be places that are able to optimize their human capital to the point where they're economically sustainable and globally competitive? And the answer is absolutely yes. We're already seeing that happen.
You basically don't really believe in the neoclassical economic theory. Why?
Because the traditional inputs to economic growth are things, land, labor, capital, and they don't take account for the people and the behaviors themselves. And that's fine when you're working in an economy that's based on physical resources only. But when you move into a knowledge economy where the output is generated out of people's minds, then you absolutely have to take in consideration that it's about biology, not buildings. It's about people and people doing things and behaving in certain ways that drive all the economic output. And things like land take a much more minor role. And as an example, you can take a look at companies like Facebook or Google, and their ability to have global impact has nothing to do with land, how they use land. It's all how they use people and finding the smartest people.
And you go even a little further and talk about the importance of edges versus the one of the nodes. So you talk about the importance of relations, not only people, but about the relations between the people.
Well, that's because the network. So what we find is that one of the things that determines global competitiveness today is speed. We no longer have the luxury of taking months or even years, not only to make decisions, but to access resources, because other people are doing it in seconds. And the internet has democratized information, and talent is now mobile. And particularly with this new generation of millennials, is they have choices. They have more choices than ever. They can choose where to work and live. And because of that, everyone's going to be battling for talent for these smart people. They're no longer battling for the physical resources. They're battling for the people and their talent. And so the importance of networks is absolutely critical. The ability to gain access to the knowledge, but also the ability to drive yourself forward using these networks is very, very important. And so the broader your networks and the more diverse your networks, the more sustainable and competitive you can be.
So basically your advice is to manage at the edge of chaos in an informal way and more fast way.
Yeah, but so it looks like chaos, and so innovation looks very messy, and it requires a lot of serendipity. But what you find is that if you break apart chaos, just as in chaos theory, you begin seeing these little small patterns in it. And there is an order to these small patterns. It's just that when you replicate these patterns, that you often see what looks like randomness. And yes, you have to manage yourself at the edge of chaos, but there is an order to it.
So let's come to Italy, which is not only experiencing a very very bad international financial crisis, but even a strong internal stagnation because Italy's economy is not growing from a really very long time. So what could be, you suggest, your advice to young people who want to stay in this country?
We kind of joke. We say, make a job, don't take a job. So create your own job, become an entrepreneur, start your own business. You have complete control of your destiny when you do that. The thing that we love about the youth of today is that it's not that they think outside the box. For them, the box doesn't even exist. And so they can think the craziest thoughts possible, and those are the ones that make all the difference. And so I would really encourage the youth of today to become much more engaged. I would advise people like governments and other organizations here to really involve youth as much as possible. And it may be uncomfortable. You know, in fact, it most likely will be uncomfortable to get them because, as we were saying, they think differently. They've grown up with the internet. They've grown up communicating through tools like social media, whereas, you know, people of my generation and beyond don't really have those tools or don't have the dexterity with those tools. And so they don't quite understand the importance of being able to use these tools to understand what's important to this next generation, but also as government or as businesses, how we can communicate with those people to inspire and attract and retain good talent.
Which might be the role of governments and policymakers in general in your rainforest model?
It's one thing. You know, we believe a lot in open government systems, ways to use social media. Again, what's great about this young generation is that every time they go on the internet, they leave what we call digital breadcrumbs. And they leave signs of themselves there. And by being able to leave these signs, if we're able to see what these patterns are, one, we know what's important to them. Two, we know how to respond. And three, we have ways of engaging them. On the other side is, as governments, as we create smart policies that support these activities and don't inhibit or act in conflict with what we want to happen, we're then able to communicate better with society too, and in real time, you know, and things that happen in the moment.
Thanks to Greg Horowitt, and see you next time.
Thank you.